Oh man.
Okay.
I suppose that for a specific type of fuck up in
Hmm.
life, I guess you can. It's never too late, is it? Do
Oh,
you know what I
this
mean by
sure
that?
depends on where this is going.
Do you know what I mean? It's never too late, and even if even if you've led a kind of a nondescript life,
Hmm.
and even if you've led the kind of life that would leave very little kind of digital footprint
Sure.
or very little social footprint, there's always a hope, isn't there? There's always hope that your life could take the fucking weirdest left turn imaginable.
There's hope.
There's hope.
So far, this doesn't sound like something I'd look forward to, but
if
go
you're the
on.
if you're the type of person who craves notoriety,
Mm-hmm.
it sometimes it can just happen to you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can just. You ever heard of Brian Wells?
Brian Wells. I don't think so.
You ever heard of Brian Wells? Brian Wells. Um, is it? It's a fucking awesome story, right?
Okay.
So Brian Wells was 46, right?
Mm.
46-year-old geezer from Pennsylvania, from a place called Erie, Pennsylvania.
Erie, PA. Gotta be quick
Erie,
with me. I'm from Erie,
Pennsylvania.
PA.
Now it's so fuck. I love this case. Right. What if I were to use the term pizza bomber?
Pizza bomber. This sounds vaguely familiar.
What if I were to use the term the collar bomb heist?
Oh, like the one from the Netflix thing, yeah? Oh
Yeah,
man,
that's the
this
one.
is so, obviously I've seen my fair share of gory, grim things. Just like
Yeah,
2 weeks
yeah,
ago,
yeah,
we were
yeah,
talking about having watched self-immolation videos. We've talked about
yeah.
all kinds of
Sure.
things that we've seen on here. For whatever reason, I think it's kind of the way that it's presented in that documentary, but I have not seen the point at which the guy blows up
Mm.
because I think it's in the did you see the doc?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
It's
I didn't know it
presented in
existed until you just mentioned it.
oh, okay. Yeah, there's a
Mm.
documentary. Um and it's presented as like a countdown.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and you're going to talk about the case for other people who haven't seen this, but it's a countdown and it stressed me out so much that I closed my eyes and I still have yet to
You were stressed.
see.
You were stressed. You were stressed. Imagine
Right, I was
fucking
stressed. Imagine being this guy. Oh
Brian
man.
Wells.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go on
Brian
because this
Wells.
is
All right. All right.
freaking
All
crazy.
right.
And it's been probably like 7 or 8 years or whatever, so I do not remember the details of this. I just remember being too stressed out to watch this guy's head explode.
Little bit further away than that. This was 2003. Okay.
No, I mean since the documentary,
Oh, the
not since
documentary.
it
Right, 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 right,
happened.
right. Well, the incident itself was 2003. So let me talk to you a little bit about Brian. Brian, poor Brian.
Poor
Born
Brian.
in 1956, just like I say, super unremarkable.
Hmm.
Kept himself to himself, reserved, kind of non-confrontational. A guy, this fellow he'd worked at this point for about a decade as a delivery driver for a pizza place in Erie called Mamma Mia's Pizzeria. Fucking
Mamma
beautiful.
mia. He
I
make good a
didn't do it.
pizza.
Now you did it. That's Rachel.
Well, listen, I've been learning Italian on Duolingo, and so
Or what? He
I
make
just
it a
want to
pizza.
say, yeah, I think I sound pretty good.
Okay, fair enough. I agree. So, the guy had no, family. He didn't live. He lived on his own. He lived on his own with cats. Yeah, he was a
Hmm.
cat guy. He had three cats.
You don't like in 2003, I feel like you didn't meet a lot of cat guys. Like now you do, but I don't feel like cat guys was like a type
Ooh.
in
I know.
2003.
Yeah. So was he an innovator? I don't know. He was an influencer.
Right,
He
he was at
was.
the forefront of a
He was a
trend.
zeitgeist, fucking
Hmm.
paradigm shredding existence that this guy
Yeah.
lived. But what I'm saying is no priors, no real
Hmm.
serious criminal activity. Uh, nobody. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't, obviously he was struggling financially. Fucking hell, who isn't?
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but until August 2003,
Mm.
if you'd asked somebody to describe Brian Wells to you, they would have probably described somebody quite soft,
Mm.
maybe vulnerable, maybe gullible,
Oh,
maybe somebody easy to manipulate.
sure. That's
And
not how I
manipulate.
want people to describe me.
Well,
I'm like, I don't
no,
need notoriety, but I don't want to be described like that.
I after this, I'm going to choose to always remember Brian Wells as the first major cat guy.
Yes. Let's
Yeah.
change the legacy right
Yeah.
here and now.
And what
Brian
I'm
Wells,
not going to
first cat
remember him
guy.
as, I'm not going to remember him as the guy who at Mamma Mia's Pizza on August 28th, 2003, he got a routine kind of every fucking day, did 50 of them a day in an order at work. But this one was strange. It directed him to deliver the pizza to the end of a dirt road on the outskirts of his town
Mm.
at the base of a kind of a remote kind of TV transmission aerial kind of tower.
Okay.
So Brian arrives at the location,
Did he
gets to the
know
end of the
that?
dirt
Like,
road.
obviously, we're talking pre-Google Maps and things like that. Like, you kind of had to know where you were going. Were they like,
Yeah,
hey, leave this in the middle of BFE?
I guess they
Or,
must have been. But
okay,
which would have seemed strange to me had I not seen uh the late 80s, late 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. You can get a pizza
sure.
delivered anywhere.
You can
They'll
get it
deliver it to a
anywhere, even
fucking
in the
drain.
sewer. Well, and also, like, I guess you would probably just think, like, kids were, like, out there doing something, like being weirdos. You
Exactly.
wouldn't question it, really. I'm sure you
Exactly.
deliver pizzas to all kinds of weird-ass places.
Exactly. Um, so no suspicion, no trepidation, but when he arrived at the location, see the first kind of investigation hinged on this idea that Wells got ambushed at the
Mm-hmm.
tower, right?
Sure.
By any number of thugs, conspirators who attached, after giving him a beatdown, a bomb to his neck.
It's like straight up battle royale style.
100%.
Did battle
They
royale come out
attached.
before this? It
Oh,
must have,
Battle
because I saw
Royale
it in high
was
school.
pre-millennium for sure,
Yeah,
yes.
like it had to have. I wonder if they were like, yeah, we could do that to somebody.
Well, interestingly, Battle Royale was 2000.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Hmm. Okay.
Very interesting. Anyway, whether they were, movie buffs or what, gets a fucking bomb attached to his neck, secured to his neck, and the situation just escalated from there. Because at that point, at the base of the tower, freshly reaved of his pizza, he's had a bomb locked around his neck. Wells is then given a shotgun, right? A gun
Hmm.
disguised as a walking cane.
Nice.
How
Is it
fucking
like?
mad is
Did you
this?
see a picture? Does it really look like a walking cane?
I can
That's like it's
certainly.
some penguin shit or something right there.
Oh, it is. It really is. It's see, this is what I mean. The whole thing is fucking theatrical and weird as fuck.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
given
Totally.
he's given this cane and a set of super detailed instructions for a weird ass fucking scavenger hunt,
Okay.
right? The list that he's given, the instructions that he's given, tell him that if you get all of the items, if you follow every single step on this list, it'll disarm the bomb and you'll be sound as fuck.
It's
However,
genuinely someone trying to be a Batman villain.
it's crazy, isn't it? But I mean, when item number one on your list of super legit and cool things to disarm this bomb we've put on you, item one, rob a bank.
Like maybe start smaller.
I don't know, man.
That's
I don't know.
that's going a
Um,
little hard out the gate.
yep, because it is thusly that around 2:30 p.m. on that date, he was found walking into the PNC Bank on Peach Street in Erie, bomb completely visible around his neck,
Sure.
and with a note in his hand, which he handed to the teller, demanding $250,000, right? $250,000,
Mm.
which he does not get.
Yeah.
The teller doesn't have a cool 250 G's in the
Right.
drawer. She
Just
gives
lying
him
around.
just under 9 grand.
Mhm.
And out he goes. Wells, he strolls out of the bank with the money. He goes back to the list, following the instructions. But of course, he didn't get far.
Okay.
Just a few minutes after that robbery, the cops stop him, arrest him, handcuff him, put him on the ground, as we've seen time and time again. And it's here that Wells tells him about the bomb. He's pleading for help. He's fucking desperate. He's crying. But even though initially they're all like, get fucked, pal, this is bullshit,
Right.
this is a hoax, they change their tune when it starts to beep.
God. Yep.
And everywhere I read says that this was actually captured on TV. This was captured on the
Yes.
fucking, this was live. This was captured
Again,
on the
if you
TV.
see the documentary, it is how this opens. You can watch this whole thing happen. It's
Oh, that's so cool.
horrifying.
He's on the ground, he's handcuffed, the bomb begins to beep faster and faster and faster. And almost about a half an hour after he was apprehended, the bomb explodes, blows his chest open, rips his fucking neck apart, and Wells is there bleeding out on the ground.
Good old cops, right?
What a fucking
Protect and serve. Just leave the guy to. I mean, that's one of the things that like is so heinous about it. Like, I get at first thinking the guy's full of shit, sure, right?
yeah.
Like, I'm sure people do. Like my brother, who held up the coffee shop with a syringe, saying it was full of AIDS, right? Like sure, people do dumbass shit all the time, but like
In all of the kind of
once
long-running
it
characters we've got on this podcast, your fictional crazy brother is my favorite.
It's not, unfortunately, not a fictional man. This is
It's a really,
the real
really
man.
well-drawn character you've put
he,
together
he
there.
has been on this podcast before.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yes, true. Good point.
but like I get that. Once you figure out that it's real, what is crazy when you watch this footage is they literally just left him sitting there.
Jesus.
And it's like, obviously it's unsafe or whatever. You have a bomb squad for shit like this. You don't know how long it's going to take to go off, but like just letting a guy sit
Mm.
there by himself on the
Yeah.
ground
Yep.
until he explodes is like so cruel.
Yes.
Like they made like no effort. You're
The
just
the
watching this happen.
darkest of exits, the
Yeah,
darkest of ways to
horrible.
die.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the investigation hasn't come anywhere near solving this, hasn't come anywhere near figuring
really.
this out.
Okay.
I mean, initial suspicions were that he was complicit. You know what I mean? That this
Right.
was
Yes. Yeah.
something that he was an inside guy.
Hmm.
But when looking at the kind of the instructions that he'd been given by his, the perpetrators, it was super convoluted, right? Super complex. And the bomb itself was like a really professional piece of work.
Right.
This was something that there was no way that Wells could have disarmed on his own. This was something
Right.
that no
Yeah.
way could you have put together in your fucking living room with your cats walking across the fucking surface all the time.
Right.
Um, but as the kind of investigation kind of got broader and broader and broader, Erie, Pennsylvania had a fantastic little cast of weird ass characters,
Mm.
any of which could have slotted right into this. There were a group of kind of local individuals. At the center, a lady by the name of Marjorie Deal Armstrong. Super troubled, super long history of mental illness, violent behavior, volatile nature around the town. She'd been implicated in murders in the past, mentioned in the killing of her boyfriend in that very same year.
Mhm.
And the drug community in Erie was a big kind of area of interest. There was a guy called Kenneth Barnes, a guy who used to deal crack. He was a close associate of Marjorie. Was it a scheme between the two of them to kind
Mm.
of, settle debts, raise money for other nefarious purposes? It
It's
for a
like
crime as fucking idiosyncratic and weird as this.
right, because it's like I think what's so bananas about it is it's the theatricality, it's he was set up to fail,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
if they wanted money, right? If they wanted him to succeed, they would have made it easier for him.
Yep.
To what
Yep.
end do
Exactly.
you hook
Exactly.
someone up to this and like make it so that there's basically no way that
Yep.
they could possibly succeed
Yep.
at this task, and they're going to blow up and no one's going to give you that money after they blow up? Like
Completely. Completely.
what's the point aside from like literally comic book villain shit?
Exactly. It's circular. Nobody gains from it.
Right.
Um, it was those two. It was Marjorie Armstrong and Kenneth Barnes who ended up convicted. She died in prison in 2017. Um, Kenneth Barnes tested against Marjorie for a kind of a lighter sentence. He got 45
Mhm.
years.
Mm.
Uh, fucking 45 years. That's insane.
Yeah, it's a long ass time.
Um,
That's your whole life.
that is, yeah, exactly that. That is your whole life. But it was eventually kind of settled on the fact that it was those two doing their best to kind of extort him somehow. But like you said,
Yeah,
if
like
step one of
how?
your list, if step one is to lift 250 grand from a bank,
Right.
you may as well end your list there.
But and here's what's bananas about that too is like, okay, like you you have the smarts to
Mm,
build an elaborate bomb to put around this guy's neck and a gun that looks like a walking cane, but you
yep.
can't think that through, that like we're not gonna get past step one here.
Mm.
What?
The
How?
gun does. The gun does. The gun itself is a piece of work. I'm gonna just send this to you
Do
on
you know
the
what the rest of the list was? Like, what was he eventually to do with the cane gun?
That's a great question. If you're fine with putting an artificial pause in here, I'll let you know.
Sure.
Uh,
Aside from the video people who will
yes.
get to watch this happen.
Oh, we've got the actual instructions right
Okay.
here.
Yeah. Tell me what else he was supposed to do.
Ah, it's so cool. So cool. I'm
Listener, when Mark says cool, he does not
gonna
condone
read
the actions of these
directly
villains.
from the list of wells.
Yeah, please do.
Rules. Number one, you must follow a course of instructions to find keys and combination codes to disarm bomb. Do not insert keys into keyholes until instructed. Some keyholes are booby-trapped to prevent tampering. Fuck
It's
me, it's so
none of
detailed.
this is well, and it's like completely unnecessary because he never got past step one.
Nowhere near.
They never
Eh,
got to any keys or codes. What the fuck were they thinking?
Instruction two,
Go
you
on.
must drive 60 miles per hour throughout the course.
They
In
speeded him.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Instruction three,
Nice.
use only 2 or 3 minutes at each stop. A sentry will be watching at each stop to ensure you're not being followed. Number four, bomb has tripwires. Forcing or tampering will detonate. Wow. Number five,
Mm.
all weapons, papers, containers, tapes, etc. must be returned to us. Each item you find has a key and or combination word.
It's
You will need
like
to
just like
decipher.
a fucking what do you call it? Like a escape room.
It's Die Hard with a
Make
Vengeance,
sure
isn't it?
you make sure you bring the stuff back at the end.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly, exactly,
we'll keep
exactly.
your ID for collateral.
There's a guy following him, giving him clues if he sucks. Uh yeah, it's incredible. Let me just send you this. Let me just send you this gun
Oh
because it's
yeah,
so cool.
I do want to see the gun. You've never seen Game Night, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you'd know if you'd seen Game Night. It's so good. I think I mentioned this to you a few weeks ago too, because it's one of those movies. Like now, I don't know how well it did when it was in the theater, but
Yeah,
like it has become like just absolute cult classic. Um,
take a look at that.
I'm going to look at it, but you need to watch Game Night to give clues and potential real kidnappings and things of that nature.
Seeing if I
Play.
can find a picture of the actual bomb collar. Yeah, the bomb collar looks fucking sick as well.
Yeah, like you again, it
Oh,
can't be that hard to find a video of it. This doesn't work.
what, the
But
image?
yeah, the image doesn't work.
Oh dear.
It can't be that hard to find a video of it because it is literally in a Netflix documentary. um
There you go. I'm sending it in the chat here.
do it.
Do, do, do. There it is. No, it isn't. Fucking
Okay, well.
insane piece of shit.
I could probably it's Brian. Is it Brian with an
It's
I or a Y?
it's Brian with a Y. There you go. I've sent the link into the Zoom there. There you go.
It's with an I, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I was literally just looking
And
at it.
now I see the cane gun.
Good enough.
It's yeah, like I don't think I'd question. I'd be like someone has kind of a janky cane. It's kind of got like a boxy thing near the handle.
Mm.
Um and a weird, yeah, it's like a weird shape, but also could be like, you know, when people have like I want to say rickets. Is that a thing? Like old school, like or polio, like old school diseases, and they'd have those kinds
Uh,
of like bent canes that kind of wrap around
yes, for
instead of it just
sure.
being a handle. It kind of has that look
Yep.
to it. Um
Uh, and there's a look at
Interesting.
the actual bomb itself.
I also like that, like in the pictures of him with like the thing around his neck, it's like they put a t-shirt over it as if it was gonna
Yeah.
hide it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no one will know. He's just built like this. Looks like backwards Uncle Fester. Nobody's gonna question why he looks like that.
And that's kind of what I mean when I say that you know, if you've lived a life entirely devoid of notoriety and and interest, if you're just a cat guy, you're never safe. JoAG rule number one: no matter what your job
Right,
is,
yeah.
no matter who you fucking hang with, you might find yourself notorious one way or the other.
Yeah, I would say, the way you made it sound at the beginning, like, oh, it's never too late. You could become notorious. Like,
You can
this is less aspirational
you can.
than I
It's never too
was
late to end up on Jack of
thinking.
all graves.
Well, sure, that's true. If put it in your will if you want us to talk about you on Jack of all graves in the event of your untimely demise. By golly, we will do it.
Fucking right, we will.
Right. Poor Brian.
Poor Brian.
Yeah. I can't remember what that documentary was called, but it was made by the Duplass brothers, I think.
Hmm.
The like first search thing too that comes up. I was trying to look up Brian Wells documentary, and it was like I typed Brian Wells and it was body after explosion was the thing that filled in.
Ooh.
Like internet. Oh
Excuse
you.
me.
Also on here on my Bing results, like immediately at the top was like death of Brian Wells video. So
Wow.
there it is. What
Yeah,
was
there it is.
no, that's not it.
Oh,
Evil Genius. Evil Genius was the name of
right.
the
I shall look for
documentary.
that. The 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 collar of the bomb after the explosion was still intact. So authorities were forced to sever his head
Oh,
so the bomb
Jesus
could be
Christ.
retained and investigated.
Ooh, cute.
Yeah.
Mark Lewis. You'll get caught up in the Mark Lewis.
Of course, if some people tried to stick a bomb collar on me in the middle of my working day and told me to go and rob a bank, I would simply tell them to fuck off and do it themselves. I would simply
I
not
am.
comply.
This is the unfortunate thing about us not, him getting exploded. I mean, aside from him getting exploded,
Yeah.
we have no one to tell us
What
how the
actually
hell they
went
did it.
down?
Yeah,
Mm,
right? Like, was he just that, like, just that easy to get to do something that
mm,
he just went with it? Or, like, did they knock him out and then put it on him? Or, you
I
know,
don't know. I think there was something he could have done.
wow, victim blaming.
Yeah, I do. I've had the chance to think it through, and
Having no information about how this transpired, you've
I've had the
decided
chance.
he could have
I've talked it
changed.
through, thought
You
it
know they have
through.
at least one gun in this situation. I would say they probably have multiple.
Brian or the relatives of Brian, if you're listening, he could have done more. He could have ducked and dived. He could have, feint left, swing right.
Hmm.
He could have been a little bit more nimble. He could have got out of there. He could have used the pizza
Uh-huh.
as a kind of a
Sure.
as a fugazi and got out of
I
there,
do wonder if they ate the pizza. You know,
Hmm.
they're like, oh, we're hungry from all this
Hmm.
evil villain shit. Better have a
Look,
slice of
anyway,
the old
how's
za.
everyone doing?
Hey, everybody. We're here. It's Jiggable Graves
uh,
coming back with a bang.
yes, indeed. Coming back at you, coming back in your life, in your
Mm,
week, in your Monday.
indeed.
And it's with a happy heart that I wish ye all a very good week, and I hope you're well. How's it going, Corri? You good?
Doing pretty well, yeah. Obviously it was a chaotic last week.
Mm.
I was saying before, I think this is the first time that we've ever just like not like without any planning or anything like that, managed to just like not get an episode
Mm.
of JoAG in our 4 year existence. We've like even if it's been like a Friday, we have managed to get a JoAG in. But we just could not make it work this week.
Yeah. Life is occasionally like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to want to spend too much time talking about it, but across the planet with families and work and fucking life being how it is, it's occasionally tough. Um, but hey ho, we need to say no more than that.
Yeah, and listen, people are so nice about everything, reassuring us that it's fine and all that. I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself about these kinds of things, and I don't want to let
Yeah,
people
so do I.
down,
Mhm.
and want to make sure everyone gets their JoAG each week and all of that. But, people again were like reassuring, like, listen, you guys are a two-man operation running this thing for all these years and not missing them. That's pretty good. And thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, most podcasts, with the exception of ones like Dead and Lovely, that also managed to just never miss one. Um, it, most podcasts that are weekly, especially for as long as we have been, are like getting paid to do this and like have like
Yeah,
other people
yeah, a
working to help
team,
get things, yeah, get
you
things
know?
done. It's just you and me. Uh and if things come up, there's no person to fall back on or anything like that. It's just us.
There isn't.
So
But
hey,
look,
we do
and
our best for you guys though. We're not
yeah,
going to
we do,
make it
we
a
do, we do.
habit. We just,
No,
it's
but
good to remember there's a little grace there.
yes, very much. Thank you for your
And
grace.
yeah, and it was wild. You were super busy. We ended up having a little bit of an emergency in our home, a little ER
Health.
visit
Mm.
earlier in the week for Keo. Don't worry, he's fine. But we had a little bit of an incident at the beginning of the week that we had to deal with, and that kind of threw things as well. And yeah, it was just a little bit chaotic, weren't it?
Yeah, it was. But we're here now, and that's what
We're
counts.
here. We're here now, and we have all kinds of things. Listen, we had book club yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Talked about Slewfoot by Brom. See if I can hold it. Yeah, there we go. If I hold it close enough to me, you can see
By
Brom.
Brom.
Brom is his name. Apparently, he grew up. Brom is his last name. And he grew up on
Mm.
like military bases where people tended to call you by your last name, and it just stuck. And so as an adult, he took that on as like a pen name. Um, and Slewfoot, I highly recommend. Notoriously, everyone who is like in book club knows that like I don't like things that are fantasy. I don't like anytime you bring like fairy creatures and all that kind of stuff, I immediately like shut down. I'm like, I want
Yeah,
nothing to
yeah,
do
yeah.
with this. Um Found an exception. This book absolutely rules. Takes place in like Puritan colonial America in 1666 about a woman who is sent from England to the colonies to marry a fella, and while there finds herself sort of running afoul of Puritan society while also encountering maybe Satan in the woods.
Nice.
And we see how that develops over the course of it, and oh, it's so fucking good.
Very
Big
nice.
time
I mean,
recommend
I
Slewfoot.
what I was just pondering on there was I've got a lot of grace towards people who decide that they want to capitalize.
Capitalize.
Yeah, their names.
Oh, sure, okay, yeah, gotcha.
I don't think I have that same leniency to those who decide they want to one word it.
Wait, you hold that against like Zendaya? Not into
Yeah.
it? If you've got a name that stands out, sure, go for it. You know?
But you'll have a surname also, won't you? You think you're beyond such things? You with your one name?
I mean,
I
hey,
don't
if
know.
people know who you are.
Mm,
That's
mm. I think
fine.
no, I'm not cool with that. No, I'm not. I'm not cool with that. If I think it's something you've got to earn.
Why?
Well, because people have two names, don't they?
No, some people have 5 names. Some,
True.
you're choosing one way or another. Why don't you go by your all 3 of your names?
Yeah,
Like you're always leaving something out here and there.
that's true.
So yeah, names are fake. Do what you want with it.
Yeah, that's also true. Fuck it. If it gives you a bit of fun, who cares?
Right? Yeah, like call me whatever. It's, where life is hell. If you want to be called Brom or Zendaya or whatever the fuck, then why not?
Yeah, fair enough. All right,
Uh,
I'm over it.
uh, over it. Also, we have got a watch along coming up this Saturday, our
Yep.
pre-Halloween watch along, in which Mark is going to just select the movie he feels like watching for us.
Yep. And all you need to know is that there's a watch along this Saturday, and it would be lovely if you were there. You don't need to know anything else.
Nothing further. Although we
Nope.
will say what the movie
You
is
will
so that you
need
can get a hold of it. But
yes. You will need the movie, which will be revealed
this week.
48 hours before time.
Okay. 48 hours beforehand. So
Yep.
that'll be coming, but set your calendar. Set your calendar.
Set.
Hmm. It's
Mark your
not.
calendar.
Mark your calendar. Set your
Set your
alarm.
stopwatch.
Set your
Set your stopwatch.
I don't think that's it either.
Set your alarm.
For Saturday, October 26th
Fuck me.
at
Is this like our first episode? Is this the first time we've ever done this?
See, we take 1 week off and all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's like what even are words anymore? It's difficult. It was like I didn't even know you when I opened up Zoom. Like, who is this guy on the other end with all the chest hair? What's going on here? Look at all that. Look at this guy.
Get people flocking to the video.
That's how we advertise the video. But yeah, so we'll do that. We'll tell you what it is. It's gonna be a good
A
time.
lot of fun.
We'll also have a snack to the future coming out this week.
Yes, indeed. In an effort to right the wrongs of last month, in an effort to fucking, I'm still bored and I'm still angry and I'm still got that bittersweet taste in my mouth. I can't. I brush and brush my teeth and the taste won't leave.
Oh man. I'm sorry, but I take some small pleasure from how much you hated Virtuosity just because like it is a shitty movie, but just, I've seen worse.
Oh, listen, I've said time and again, I'd rather hate
mhm,
than be
right.
not in the least moved at all.
It has
So,
caused you to feel,
ex
it's a
thank
reminder
you.
you're alive.
Thank you. That is very much what virtuosity is. It's a reminder that you still live.
Right. I can still be passionate about
Yes,
something, and it
yes,
is my hatred
yes,
for
yes.
virtuosity.
And in an effort to right the wrongs, a better movie, a similar but better film. This time it's going to be Demolition Man, and I cannot wait because I don't know why, but I've got like this. I don't think I read the tie-in novelization, but
Oh,
I've grown up with a lot of affection towards Demolition Man, and
okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing if it's
If it
justified.
holds up. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely been since I was a kid since I've seen this. So
good.
I'm excited to revisit this movie.
Mm,
I could tell you pretty much 0 things about it. So
excellent.
stoked on that. So
Good.
yeah,
We'll watch
that will
that when
be
watch that Wednesday.
we're gonna watch that Wednesday. We're gonna talk about it on Thursday. Get it up
Nice.
on the old Ko-Fi for you. A quick update, dearest of friends. A few weeks ago, we talked about shaken baby syndrome,
Oh yeah.
and the currently on death row inmate Robert Roberson, who was set to be executed on October 17th. Obviously, I've been impassioned posting all over everything. I even used our TikTok, which rarely happens, managed to accidentally add a sound to the beginning of the TikTok, which
Oh,
is
cool.
unfortunate. Don't know how it happened. Can't
What
get
was
rid
the
of it.
sound?
It was like some guy going like, "Hey, look at this. Hey, take a look at this." It's like, fuck. Is what it is. This is what happens when you're old and you try to use kid technology to get the word out about something.
That's
um
hilarious.
so that happened. I boomered on TikTok, but got the point across.
Well done.
Posted everywhere to try to get people to call Governor Greg Abbott to sign the petitions, all of that kind of stuff. People all over the internet were trying to do something about this, and the appeals were getting denied and denied up until an hour before he was set to be executed. They had started setting everything up, final meal, all of that kind of stuff. They had everything set. Had a final hearing on like sort of a technicality, basically. That judge granted a restraining order that allows for Robert Roberson to, he did not die. They did not kill him, which was incredible. I literally nearly puked when I read the news because I was just, the like relief was so palpable. I this never happens. I mean, they executed an innocent guy last week. They do it all the time. No compunction about this. But they held off. He's going to testify in his own defense next week. And we'll sort of see where it goes from there. But fucking hell, you guys, it happened. If you did call or sign the petition, thank you so much for doing that.
I don't know how much I'm expecting you to know here, but do last minute stays of execution often result in the death penalty itself being kind of commuted fully, or not? No,
not really.
No, okay.
No, usually it's just appeal after appeal after appeal until the person eventually runs out of appeals and they're executed. Okay. But this is an unusual situation. It doesn't usually happen like this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But at least for once, a judge intervened and made a decision in the right direction. And hopefully that will lead to, him being able to speak for himself, talk about what happened, more introduction of the evidence of what occurred there, showing, what now we're pretty sure about. This kid died from complications of pneumonia. But it's crazy, like reading news articles and stuff about this. It's still bananas, like I said, how like doctors don't want to let go of this, and they insist there's no medical consensus is there's no controversy. That's what they keep saying. There's no controversy about Shaken Baby. I'm like, well, when the people who came up with it say it's not real, I would call that controversy. Like that you have decided that it is, unquestionable. I guess that's not controversy, but it's crazy to me that people would say that with their whole chest when a guy is about to be executed, that they would be like, there's just simply no question here, and just ignore all the evidence otherwise.
But look, we know that I don't really have a solid grasp of American law, right?
Right, yeah.
American law, American policy, politics. The only thing I'm sure of is that it's convoluted to the point of it being unworkable, but is so convoluted it's impossible to extricate your system from that system and reform it properly because there's
I mean, it's tricky because it's a system that in theory should work, right? Like that, the idea of the jury of your peers, and that the idea of innocent until proven guilty, and all these kinds of principles are great. Unfortunately, the structures are set up so that basically that only really works for a certain kind of person, and it is not set up to work for others.
What I guess I was reaching for there, you said that a judge will cling on to that Shaken Baby ruling even though it's
well, and I was talking about doctors, not judges.
Right. What I guess my question is does power lie with individuals too much?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%.
So
yeah.
So it's possible for one fucking solitary guy to go, no, stick into this, sorry.
Yeah, pretty much.
Without that individual being accountable to a different group or a board or a
Right.
fucking process.
Yeah, because it's basically, I mean, certainly there were committees and things like that along the way, but once that initial judgment is made by that jury, then for anything to change, yeah, it has to basically be a judge or, a panel of people in an appeals situation
Right.
that says, no, that it's, we can overturn this. And if those people don't know enough about the science or have a prejudice or whatever the case may be that they come across, um, then yeah, they have a huge amount of power in cases of life and death like
Mm.
this. I don't know what the solution to that. I mean, well, the solution is obviously no death penalty, but in a broader sense, um, you know, what do you do about the fact that these small groups of people have such insane power when it comes to the fates of people. Um,
Mm.
and again, that's one for when we finally get to our talking about prison reform and abolition um, discussion. But yeah, it is deeply, deeply flawed in a way that, I mean, that's why people talk about prison abolition and things like that, is that you can't fix this. Like you said, there's like, what do you do with this?
Yeah.
It's at its core made to be like this. But Robert Roberson for now lives,
Yes.
and that is
Okay.
beautiful.
Yeah. Small victories.
Small victory. So I know many of you will be really happy to hear that. Anything else? Oh, the other thing, the one more announcement that I have here is a few weeks ago, you said that I could pick out an old horror movie. I don't know if horror is the right word, but yeah, like an old horror thriller situation for you to watch.
I said this?
You said this because I watch
Yeah.
these all the time, and you basically are kind of like, I won't watch them unless I am like, sitting, I have all of my attention on it, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And so you don't do it very often and you miss out on a lot of these old gems. And so you said I could pick one for you to watch
It's all
this
coming back to
spooky
me. Yes.
season.
Go for
Uh,
it.
and so I have decided that you are going to watch the classic film, Night of the Hunter. Have you ever seen this?
Oh, no, but it sounds great.
Hopefully. Yeah, this is, I mean, a terrifying flick from, I believe, 1955. Yeah, 1955, with Robert Mitchum, about a sort of corrupt preacher figure who meets a man in jail. I mean, oh man, this goes to so many things that we've been talking about. Basically, a man who's going to be executed and finds out that he has somewhere on his property buried money. And so this man goes and tracks down where that guy lived in order to manipulate his family to get that money that he knows is buried
Awesome.
somewhere on that property. And it is, yeah, a great thriller, great film noir, great just like sociopath movie.
Yep.
And yeah, one of the greats in the American canon. So hopefully you will
Nice.
enjoy Night of the Hunter and report back.
Excellent. I shall have that for you next
Yes.
week.
Yeah.
Mm, cool.
Excited about that. And if you at home want to watch it as well, highly recommend so that when we debrief what he's talking about. A classic film everybody should see.
Beautiful. Thank you, Corrigan. Mission accepted.
Beautiful. So, Mr. Lewis, shall we talk about
Yes.
what we've watched over the
Yeah, we
past two
should.
weeks?
Now, I suspect a lot of what we're going to be talking about is going to focus on one particular movie. That's good
Sure.
because it's
Yep.
the only movie I really want to talk about right now because it's, well,
Good.
let's, okay, we'll breeze
We'll
past.
power through the other stuff to get to
Let's
this one.
just plow on through Hellboy the Crooked Man.
Oh boy. Hellboy the Crooked Man. How
All
was
it
this made by Cranked Guy?
by Crank Guy with direct input from Mike Mignola.
Yeah, like what happened here?
Don't know. Look, it's difficult. The question it left me with was just simply why.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
why? 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 You want to reclaim Hellboy on screen and you do it like this?
Yeah, makes no
Why?
sense.
Why not wait? Wait until you've got a few extra dollars.
Right.
Yeah. If you've,
Uh,
if you've got a green light to make the movie's going to get made. Why rush it and film it all in one like 20-foot square bit of forest?
If any of you joined us for the watch along in which we watched the movie that Mark was in, it feels like
Yes.
that. That is
Yes.
the quality of
It
Hellboy, the
does.
Crooked Man.
Yeah. I, I, I'm struggling my words a lot more than usual tonight, but I keep going back to that promise I made right at the start of the JoAG journey, where I'm not going to just rag on films for no
Right.
reason, right? So if I'm pausing and if I'm trying to pick my words, it's because I'm trying just not to be a prick about this film, but it's fucking terrible.
Well, and
Um,
here's the thing. Making a movie like that when it's made by the people who made your movie for, like on a shoestring budget with no
mm,
name people or whatever, yeah, like good for them, right? But this is not
yeah,
that. That's what
no,
that's what makes this something that you can kind of shut up. Like this is made by real filmmakers, and this is what they made, which
mm,
plays as like almost cynical to me to make something this terrible when you
yeah, yeah,
know how to not do that, you know?
yeah. Is it a rights thing? Is it a
Right.
is it a legal obligation on someone's
Exactly.
part to make this film? I don't know.
Yeah, it does not feel like a passion project.
No. Just do me a favor, friend, and don't watch Hellboy the Crooked Man. Instead,
Oh no.
just if you have a hankering, you've got a little appetite for something
Oh
Hellboy,
no.
and you've got an itch you want scratched, there's only one place to go. If you're not going to pick up a book, if you're not going to read it, you just need to pop on Neil Marshall's 2007 Hellboy for a definitive look at how that character
2017.
is meant. 2017, my apologies, at how that
I
character is meant to be portrayed on screen.
listen, I will say I made it through all of Hellboy the Crooked Man.
Uh,
And I left the movie theater during the
uh,
2017 one.
it's a
So
shame. That's a shame.
there
And it's
is
actually
that.
2019, so we both
19.
suck.
I was gonna say, well, okay. I only said 2017 because I was like 2007 isn't right.
Yeah, no.
It felt more recent than that. One of those, just those last pre-pandemic movies. 2019 is that weird moment that it's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
last
yeah.
time you saw anything in the movie theater.
Yes.
It's in that zone, and I left
Did
during
you walk
that.
out?
Oh, big time. Yeah,
Did you walk
yeah.
out?
I gave up. I was like, this is
Well,
this is
well.
beyond. It's one of two movies I've ever walked out of in my life.
And the
The
other?
other one, Open Water.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I cannot watch white people fight for another minute. I gotta go. I hate, someone posted on the Dead and Lovely group about Fall? Is that the name of the one where they're up on the top of the
Yeah,
like tower
yeah.
thing? And I'm like, I
Which
can't.
I've long wanted to see, and
Oh,
Peter
you
really
haven't
wants to see
watched
it
it.
too. Nah.
Oh, I thought you did. Listen, it's a great premise and all that kind of stuff, other than the fact that it completely steals the end of it from another movie. The twist in it is exactly a different movie that I like a lot. But they're like in a like life or death situation and they're fighting over a man for the
Yeah.
duration of this movie. Like, you guys, like pay attention here. You
Yeah.
got something to
Get
figure out.
real.
This is not the time to
Mm,
deal with your issues of infidelity and whatever shit here. A man who's dead already at the beginning of this movie and they're fighting over him for the duration of this movie. I don't have
Jesus.
time for that. And that Open Water is the same thing. Like, you guys, you're stuck in the middle of the ocean being
Yeah.
surrounded by sharks. This is not the time to work out your marital problems. Like,
The sharks don't
fucking
care.
get it together, right?
No.
I have no patience for that kind of movie. I want nothing to do with it.
It's a very intentional act, isn't it? Walking out of a film that you've paid to sit down
Right.
and watch.
Exactly. Like that is it's really got to push you to
Mm,
that point. And I think with Hellboy it was just kind of like I was like what that was one of those moments where I'm like am I in this for sunk cost?
aye.
And it's like yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go.
It helps that no currency changed hands. I mean, I'll watch the fact that I paid nothing to see your film means I'm more likely to finish your film.
It's a weird, yeah, counterintuitive
Yes,
thing.
but I wouldn't have walked, even if I had paid to see this because I like Hellboy a great deal.
There you
Um,
go.
but it's yeah. Look how they massacred my boy, I guess is the only thing I can say.
Right.
Mm.
Let me just bowl through because obviously I've been watching a lot of stuff. You've been
Yeah,
watching
yeah, yeah,
less things than I have, of course.
yep.
And I narrowed it down to just things I've, seen for the first time or like a very long time ago, one of which was Suspiria, which I haven't seen since I was in high school.
Nice.
I don't like Suspiria.
Mm.
I know I'm very in the minority on this. This is one of those like universally beloved movies, and I absolutely get it. 100% get why people do you like Suspiria?
Yes, a great deal, and I
Yeah.
also massively enjoyed the remake.
Oh, which I've heard great things about, and I do
The
want
remake's
to
fantastic.
watch for sure.
Mm.
But like, I mean, even people who love this movie acknowledge like it's not really a movie, it's a vibe, right? And uh I think it's beautiful to look at. The soundtrack I eventually just kept muting because I was like, this is literally giving me a headache. I can't keep listening to this. But if you like that, then it works for you, just that constant pounding
Yes,
soundtrack throughout that whole thing. And it doesn't have a story. Like, that's everybody who watches it. You read all the reviews, 5 stars, loved this. It's a vibe. There's no
yes,
story.
yep.
Whatever. Just doesn't super work for me. There are other Argento movies I like a lot more. A lot of Giallos I like more than this one. If you're gonna give me Argento, it's gonna be Tenebrae all day. That's gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
my favorite
I
of the crew.
I seem to remember enjoying the remake more than the original, though.
A lot of
Uh,
people have said that too. Like
yeah.
I've heard, and it's Luca, what's his face,
Guadagnino.
Guadagnino, who I like a lot.
So do I.
I don't know if I've ever not. Oh, I didn't like Bones and all. But other than that, I have
I
liked
think he's doing
everything he's
another
made.
horror next,
I
wasn't he?
think so. Yeah. But yeah, Suspiria doesn't really do it for me, but I get it. I get why people like it. And I like how much pink there is in it because pink is my favorite color. So there's
Yes,
that.
it's certainly quite timely. I mean, what we're gonna chat about shortly has a lot in common with Suspiria, I believe.
What?
The substance.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you talking about? One of the
I
Facebook
think
stories?
it's
Okay,
no, no.
I'm with you now.
It was a timely pick. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Another one, beloved one that didn't really hit for me that I just watched was Pulse. Have you seen Pulse?
Have I seen Pulse?
Japanese movie. There's
Oh, the name is ringing a massive bell.
people keep committing suicide because of some sort of,
Phones.
yeah, like early internet kind of thing.
I'm
This
certain
is
I've seen it.
before
I'm
cell
certain I've seen it.
phones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's one of those like very universally beloved movies. I think one of the things about this for me is like it's very much dealing with like loneliness and isolation.
Mm,
And obviously in Japanese society, that and suicide being like huge issues. Um, and it's kind of addressing that. Uh, those are not like loneliness and isolation are not things that are like super relevant to me. Like if
mm,
anything, I could stand being alone more. Um and so like I think thematically it didn't hit hard enough for it to cover the rest. Like it's a vibes movie as well. There's no character development in this at all. People just kind of appear and they're going about their lives and then they're dying and all these things. And you're like, who are these people? Doesn't really matter. That's not the point. But for me, as someone who
mm,
needs a lot of character development, I was like, I don't give a fuck about these people. So like it's definitely very vibey. And if like loneliness and isolation are things that like scare you, then I think it's probably very effective. But Pulse didn't didn't work for me. I just did not care at all and was very bored. Although there is one of the scariest images I've ever seen in a horror movie in it, and it is
mm,
simply
nice.
the way a woman walks
Nice.
in
Very
it. And
nice.
it was like my stomach dropped out of my butt when I
J
saw
horror
it.
is very good at that though, isn't it?
Yeah, they're good at that imagery.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen much in the movie. That's probably the only scary thing in the whole movie to me, but it was
Mm.
really scary.
Um Luca Guadagnino is in fact making a new version of American Psycho.
Oh, right. I saw someone post about that like 3 hours ago. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm in to see what he does with it.
As am
Um,
I. No, I'll wait for casting. That's what I'll
sure.
do.
I'm gonna watch it no matter what, so
Yeah.
we'll see. A
Let's
thing that I
see.
did enjoy, I
Go on.
watched Dead Man's Curve, a thing that I have been trying to watch for
Hmm.
ages. I've even had you attempt to find it for Plex several times over the past 4 years, and finally, you can watch it on stuff. It is streaming now.
Hey.
And so I rented it the other night. It is a late 90s Matthew Lillard, Michael Vartan joint, in which they find out that if your roommate commits suicide, you get an automatic 4.0. And Michael Vartan plays a character who is very obsessed with getting into Harvard Law. And so he sort of hatches a plan with his roommate to kill their other horrible roommate and
Nice.
frame it as a suicide. And this is, listen, it's not a good movie, but it is, oh, it's so much fun. The director is taking it so seriously and doesn't realize he's making camp. Like he thinks he is making art here.
I enjoy that.
Which, yeah, thus the camp is just like cranked to 11. The choice, like there's a point in this where Matthew Lillard is telling a story in a bar, and as he's telling it, like the bar sort of fades away and it becomes like black and silent as he's telling this story, and it's just like, this is too much for like what should be like a teen, like an
Yeah.
I know what you did last summer kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
And it's
Nice.
great because of that. Like it's so, and this is probably the, like, this may be my favorite Matthew Lillard ever because he's just cranked all the way up, total sociopath, like just allowed
Listen,
to like go
what you're
free. It's
telling me
great.
here is what I'm hearing is that this is a film with ambition, right?
Right.
And
Like this is exactly that. It's
I'm
like
not gonna be
it's
the
not
guy.
good,
Yeah.
but it is it is
It really
trying.
wants to be.
It
Yeah.
really
I think that's
wants to be,
fantastic.
right?
Mm,
Yeah. So I recommend Dead Man's Curve now that you can get it places like, oh, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
good.
And it gets really twisty at the end to like a degree that is just too much.
Yeah.
And again, that makes it work really well, that you're just like, come the fuck, you can't do that, brother, you
Nice.
cannot, that's too many twists. And it does
It's
not
like
believe in rules, it's just gonna go with it.
it's like The Departed. Just
Right,
bang
yes.
after bang after bang.
It's Camp Departed.
Wonderful.
Yeah, love
Uh,
that.
I'm actually quite keen on seeing that. Can I watch
Yeah.
that instead of?
No, you still have to watch Night of the Hunter.
Okay, fair enough.
Let me roll through just a little bit more. I watched Sam Raimi's The Gift from 2000, I believe. Have you seen
Yeah,
that one?
yeah, absolutely. From what a fascinating little chapter of Sam Raimi's career that's
Right.
from, eh?
Yeah, it's a weird moment.
Yeah,
And
like
a weird movie.
pre Spidey,
Hmm.
post Evil Dead.
Right.
Sam Raimi kind of it feels as though he had ambitions of being an actual maker of films.
Right, like yeah, like drama,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
serious
He was
fare.
getting A-list casts and budgets for a
Right.
bit there, wasn't he? To
This
make
stars
like
Kate Blanchett.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's Kate Blanchett, Keanu Reeves, Greg Kinnear,
Fucking hell.
Giovanni Ribisi. Like it is, every single person who appears in this movie.
Mm,
Um, it's it's so bizarre. It's a bizarre movie. Katie Holmes is in it, and basically Kate Blanchett plays like a psychic who, when Katie Holmes' character is murdered, is sort of leading them towards who did it, but this sort of implicates her as well, because obviously, like when you tell the police stuff, then they're like, a psychic? How does
yeah,
she
yeah,
know
yeah.
shit? Um Keanu Reeves, visibly Asian Keanu Reeves, plays the like most virulent racist you have ever seen in your life, and it's bizarre. He's like
Oh wow.
dropping N-words and stuff like that, and you're like,
I never want
does
to hear
he?
that.
It's so bizarre. You're like, what is going on here? The accents, everyone just invented their own in
Yeah.
it. So like you've never heard a human who sounds like any single character in this movie, and they certainly don't all come from the same place, but they're
Yeah.
supposed to have basically grown up in this small town, born and raised forever, where everyone knows each other. It's bizarre. It is a bizarre movie. Um, yeah, The Gift, not the one. There's like 37 movies called The Gift, but this is the Sam Raimi one. It's one that I'm like, yeah, watch it. It's a weird time capsule and a weird,
Yeah.
like you said, moment in Sam Raimi's career. I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily like it, but it's interesting.
He's he will forever go down as one of the most fascinating, idiosyncratic, and noteworthy filmmakers ever, ever, ever.
Oh
His
yeah,
fucking
for
career,
sure.
man, has been absolutely fascinating. Yeah, and that's like I said, there was this weird half hour where he was like, well,
Yeah, like maybe I'm a
hmm.
serious guy. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
But I
Dude.
also watched 1982's Next of Kin. Have you seen that?
Next of kin, next of kin, next of kin.
I'm trying to think of
Again,
like
super
if
familiar sounding.
yeah, it's an Australian movie and it rules.
Oh,
It is a weird movie about a woman whose mother dies, and she inherits like an estate from her, which is called Montclair.
oh,
Um, and it's got all these like it's like a retirement home basically that she inherits, got all these old people in it, but they start like dying horribly in this place. It has
much
John.
like much like the gift. There are 50 million next of kins.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. This is the 1982
Ah, yes,
Next
okay.
of Kin. Has John Jarrett from the Wolf Creek movies, but when he's like young, which is
Oh, nice.
bizarre. But yeah, it is, fuck me. It's so good. Watch Next of Kin. Like, I don't need to
Man,
tell
I'm
you a whole lot more than that.
just
Um
writing down titles.
right. It's
82, yeah?
Australian, so you know, they make good shit. 1982.
Yeah, they
I
do.
recommend Next of Kin. Um, I don't recommend It's What's Inside. I don't know how this has such high ratings. Everybody has been watching
And
this. This
on a
is
few occasions this last week, I've nearly watched that.
nearly watched it. I would be curious what I don't recommend it to you because it's genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. But
Awesome.
I would also be interested in seeing what you think of it. This is a body swap movie um
Oh,
in which
don't like
these
them.
you will and well if you don't like them this is not going to change your mind. Imagine a body swap movie but nobody had any personality to begin with.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's the premise is like this guy brings like a machine to a party where they can all swap bodies and they decide to play a game where they try to guess who's in each other's bodies. Once they are in each other's body they act no different than when they were the person that they were before because
Mhm.
nobody has a personality in this. And they just immediately start like confessing things to each other and having sex with each other, which is like, you don't know who's in the other body. Like, why would you do
Netflix is
that?
that right?
Netflix, yeah.
Mhm.
Which eventually culminates in like someone dying, leaving some people without bodies now because people have died. Uh, and there's nobody cares that people have died. The rest of the movie is just about them trying to figure out what they're going to do now that they don't have bodies or whatever. It's very bad. So it's bafflingly bad and confusing. It's like they keep on saying people's names and it's like I don't know who that is. Who are these
You can,
people?
do you know, one of the it's always thrilling to have a surprise, to see a surprise hit, isn't it? To see a movie that
Uh-huh.
has just arrived out of nowhere
Right.
and is a fucking banger.
Yeah.
But it's so grimly predictable and kind of crushing to know that every time you get one of those amazing surprises, 2 or 3 years down the line, you're just going to get a load of shit, kind of
Right.
like it.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, this
what
is
you've,
just bodies, bodies, bodies,
yeah,
and they
what
made Netflix
it
bodies,
sounded to me
bodies,
as though you've
bodies.
described like talk to me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's bodies, bodies, bodies meets talk to me. And you'll see that in reviews and stuff too. I don't, I feel like I watched a different movie than the people who liked this one because I simply
Mm.
cannot imagine watching a bunch of characters that you have no idea who they are immediately swap bodies so you then don't know who they are twice. And then like trying to like piece together
Wow.
like how do you have a who done it when you don't know who the who's are?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. That's a who is it?
Yeah, right. It's not a who done it. It's a who is it.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I don't recommend It's What's Inside. Do recommend Horror in the High Desert. It's a found footage movie that, I mean, your mileage may vary depending on how much you like found footage. Some people absolutely hate this, some people absolutely love it. But I think it really, the thing that I love about found footage is just if it sells it and I think it's real.
Yeah.
And this feels like they just took footage of real people and like turned it into a horror movie. Like I'm like, this has to be this guy's actual like YouTube channel or whatever, right? Like they didn't make this up.
Nice.
Like surely this is real. It's that
Mm,
authentic. Um and that worked really well for me. Horror in the High Desert
mm.
2 doesn't really stick the landing on that. So I don't know about the series, but the first Horror in the High Desert, I watched that,
Beautiful.
liked it.
Beautiful. You're right. And whenever I'm watching found footage, I'm always internally going, that's a
Eh,
little bit, that's a little bit of
mm,
a stretch. I
right.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
This feels
knowing
like an
that,
episode of Dateline, and I loved it.
perfect. Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm all over that.
Your movies that you watched.
Right. So
Uh,
let's just, um, Azrael. Azrael.
yes.
Mm. Has this reached your radar?
I think Keo watched it the other day. That's the one where it's like a like rapture kind of thing, right?
Exactly this.
Okay.
Yes. Samara Weaving is an escapee from a kind of a cult, a society broken down into kind of cults and sects, led by women, in silence. It's a kind of a future where there's like a vow of silence. And it's a bit Last of Us, and uh it trusts you to do a lot of the work. It because a
Mm.
lot of it is in silence, which I love. I fucking love movies where there's no dialogue. Oh, so good. Um, it kind of lets you piece together what has gone on in the society, why they're the way they are. I also
Okay.
really, really like Samara Weaving. I think she's great.
Yeah, she's great. Absolutely.
Um, talk about an expressive face on that
Yeah,
girl.
right. I think you've said before that she's kind of like bizarro Margot Robbie, like she's like kind of off Margot Robbie,
Exactly.
but it
Yeah.
works really well, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly. She's like Margot Robbie, and meets like Phineas
Phineas.
of and Ferb.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
actually, you're right. That's 100% true. That
Yeah.
is, yeah, accurate. And I
And
think it absolutely works in her favor.
it's a compliment.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that
never
is not
fuck
an
out came
insult by
across.
any
No,
stretch. Yeah.
that's 100% a compliment. She's great. She's fascinating to look at and
Hmm.
can easily carry a movie where there isn't much in the way of dialogue.
Yeah,
And she
totally.
doesn't mind getting fucking, you know, thrown about in the name of horror,
Yeah,
which is great.
totally. Yeah, I like her a
Azrael's
lot.
a great laugh. It's also really nice, pleasingly violent.
Nice. I will
Mhm.
definitely check that one out.
Yes, you should.
Speaking of pleasingly
Um,
violent, you saw
oh,
another big one for you this week.
um, let's think. I mean, you know what Terrifier 3 is,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
my opinions on Terrifier 3 are worthless. They don't matter.
That's that's a really good point. Yeah.
Right?
It's either a thing you like or it's a thing you
Yes,
hate, and it's going to be the movie you think it's going to be.
there is, I guess the most damning thing I can say about Terrifier 3 is that it holds no surprises, right?
Sure. Yeah. Hmm.
But that's the only disparaging thing I can say about Terrifier 3, because everything else you're gonna you get so fully. If you're hungry for this one thing, then friend, eat. That is it.
Sure.
Right? I happen to absolutely love, in the space of only, 3 movies,
Hmm.
that what Terrifier is.
Hmm.
It's become, just through fucking absolute commitment to being the name in fucking gore out there,
Right.
and not
Yeah.
giving a fuck, and not compromising. It's made it a little institution for itself in horror,
Yeah.
and I'm so pleased that it exists. I'm so glad to have Terrifier in our lives. Um, uh, but of course, my opinions don't matter, because it gives you what it is going to give you, and it's going to give you a lot of it.
Now here's the sort of maybe as close to an objective question as I can have for you, because you're right. It is, you know what you're
Yeah.
gonna get, so you like it or you don't. It is shorter than the last one, but it's still very long. It's like 2 hours
Yes.
and 5 minutes or whatever. How does
Yep.
that feel watching it? Does it feel like it's 2 hours and 5 minutes? Take yourself
Yes.
out of your enjoyment of it and
Yes. Oh,
just, okay, it
look.
feels 2 hours long.
Yes, it does. But
Okay.
again, as I'm certain I've said, I would much rather watch 2 hours 20 of an individual's vision than I would watch 2 hours 20 that's got 40 minutes added in because of some notes some fucking exec gave
Right,
you.
yeah,
Or, oh, test audiences said that this bit was a little bit
yeah.
big, so we went back and we reshot. Right? Terrifier 3 is one man's fucking party, right? And you're gonna fucking enjoy it, or you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Or
fine.
in my case, I am genuinely an in-between person on Terrifier, where I'm
Huh?
like, I like it fine.
Mm.
It's indulgent to the point of boredom for me, where it's like comes to the point where I'm like, it's so gory that like I have nothing left in me to be like, oh, it's like, yeah, no, I get it.
Oh no.
Oh, wow, oh, she's being skinned. Oh my God, crazy.
Oh,
Like
what will you
I
do next?
I wear out quickly on
Yeah,
the concept. So it's like I like it to a point, and then I'm
I
kind of
see.
like, hey, I kind of need a little more movie than this, Like
Ah,
I need a little something to I need to like think maybe he's not gonna
well,
get away with it. I need for like, I don't know, I need something other than just like lots of gore
well,
to the movie.
this one has lore.
Lore is good. I
Yeah,
like
you're
lore.
gonna learn a
And
little bit.
the last one tried to do that as well, but you end up with things like your like 25-minute dream sequence in it and stuff that you're like,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
there's
no,
yeah,
that's not
there
necessary.
aren't there are no kind of egregious moments of
Right,
the
okay.
fuck is this? It doesn't have a dream sequence,
Nice.
or at
Yeah.
least not one
Obviously, I'm gonna
as
watch it. I don't think I'm gonna get to the theater to see this one, but I definitely will watch it,
well.
obviously.
I'm looking forward to replacing my Terrifier 2 and 3 Blu-ray with a Terrifier 1, 2, and 3 Blu-ray. 1 and
You're
2,
gonna do
sorry.
you're going to do that even knowing there's a four coming.
Yes.
Fair enough. Together also we watched Red Rooms
Yeah.
this week, which was like this movie is like had Mark written all over it.
Yeah, it did. In that it's French. Oh.
Which
Um,
is a generally a giant negative for me, but I mean this is a movie that I don't know if I liked it per se, and I rated it like 3.5 at first because I was like, oh, it's doing good things, and I moved it to a 4 because I was like, I feel like I didn't like it, but it's very good. Yeah, I have a weird relationship with this movie. Um,
I all right, so conceptually, right? It's perfectly possible to appreciate that something is excellent without
mhm,
necessarily enjoying it.
completely. It's like what was that courtroom one, also French one, the Anatomy of a Fall,
Yeah.
where I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like, I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think I
yeah,
liked
yeah.
that at all, but it was a good movie.
Yeah. I'm not that in that place with Red Rooms. I actually really
Yeah,
enjoyed it as
no,
well.
it's
It's a nice,
very much your vibe.
yeah. Just obsession and fucking, assassination and murders and intrigue, and
But
it's all
without
there.
showing you anything, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
This
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
this is what caught me because someone was talking about this and they were like talking about the horror of this movie and everything that they had watched and the tension and all of this, and they were like, and there's no on-screen violence at all or anything. And I looked, and like, sure enough, no nudity, no violence, like none of the like things that I think of when I think of a French movie. Like I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
extremity.
Yeah.
I think of, yeah, all of the stuff that I hate in a movie, and your dose of misogyny and all of the things that are French culture in a French movie. And this is not that. It's
No.
very effective without any of that stuff in it.
I think this has been an excellent, excellent, excellent week for movies. Any week, any fucking week where you have the substance is an excellent week.
Yes.
Um, no, there was no point at which my thumb paused before hitting that 5 star rating.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
simply,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
simply didn't even have to consider it.
Hmm.
Right? It wasn't, there wasn't a moment after seeing the substance where it was in doubt whether it would get 5 stars.
Hmm.
Can I be any clearer on this matter? Right? I wish to leave no doubt at all that the substance The movie, The Substance, 2024, starring Demi Moore, is a 5-star fucking film.
I mean, I will say I gave it 4.5, but it's a quibble only because I don't think a movie needs to be 2 hours and 20 minutes long. That
Okay.
said, that's my only quibble with this movie. Otherwise, it's pretty damn near perfect.
To the point where I don't even know where to begin.
I
So
know, right?
accomplished, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Not in any way a criticism. I quite enjoy it when a decent movie wears its influences on its sleeve. If you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be shit and rip things off, oh, I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger.
Sure,
But if you're
yeah.
going to be awesome in your own fucking way, whilst also merrily paying homage,
Yes.
crack on, fucking
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would start with the question, really. I mean, what did you spot? What kind of source material does the substance draw from? What did you notice? I mean,
I mean, like you said, Giallo's for sure. It is
100%. Yep.
absolutely a modern Giallo,
Yep.
without a doubt. There were things while watching it that I certainly caught that were like direct, like, oh, that is a direct reference, like a frame or whatever from some other thing and stuff like that. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what they were, but it
Mm,
absolutely, I mean, it very much wears its influences on its sleeve to that point where you're like,
yes.
oh, I've seen that before.
Even I think stuff that might not immediately leap out at you, right? So if you don't know the premise of the substance, Demi Moore is an aging Hollywood starlet.
Well,
Her
she's a fitness
kind of fitness.
person. Yeah, she's like a Jane Fonda kind of situation
Exactly
without the
this. Exactly
acting.
this. Yeah, 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 yeah. And as the years rack up, her star begins to fade. And I'm not a woman, right? Let's
What?
just get that nice and fucking clear.
Okay.
So
Interesting revelation.
I can't speak to, not only am I not a woman, I'm not a kind of a perimenopausal woman in
Right.
LA. I'm not any of those
I think
things,
we can go ahead and call Demi more
right?
menopausal, not
Fine, fine, fine.
perimenopausal.
Um, but what if I fucking hell, say it and be damned. I kind of felt like one after this film. Fucking hell.
I think no, I think that that is very, it's so well done that I think
Yes.
you understand. Like I was
That's
partway
it.
through this
That is it.
movie, I was thinking like there's a ton of nudity, obviously. There's a ton of like shots of female bodies and things like that. I didn't know who made it. And in the movie theater, partway through, I was like, I feel like a woman made this. And I like looked it up in the theater and I was like, sure enough, I'm like, there is a way in which you shoot things and tell the story and everything that even when you have tons of
Beautiful.
nudity and stuff, a
Yep.
woman has made this. And this
Yes.
movie really gets to, I mean, from the beginning you open on like Demi Moore like leading her class, right? And she's beautiful. She is drop dead gorgeous at, nearly 60 or whatever that she is at this point. And then following this like, but the world has said she's useless at this point. And this sort of journey that she goes on that feels like parallel to the way, we've talked about like Madonna, right?
Yes.
Madonna at this point has like mutilated her face into something that doesn't look like a person anymore, which leads us to talk about how she's mutilated her face into not looking like a person anymore. And it's like, is this what you want? Is
Yes.
this what I've done it? You told me I needed to fix it, so I did.
Yes.
And it feels very much like that when you're watching this like there's nothing you can do. Like you're just supposed to age out of society and like
Yes.
gracefully do so. Never be professionally successful, never be a sexual
Exactly. Never
being,
be
never be
aspirational.
anything.
Never
Just
be. Yeah. Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
like that scene. I was talking about this with Ben the other day, like where she's sitting there and like Dennis Quaid, who is fantastic in this, says something about like when you pass 50, it stops.
Yes.
And she's like, what stops? What stops? And he doesn't have like an answer for that. He's just shoving shrimp in his mouth or whatever. It's like it stops. And the way that this movie expresses that of just like the futility of being a
Yeah.
woman over 50,
Yes,
is
and
incredible.
expresses it as though it's fact,
Hmm.
as though even though this is contrived and even though this
Right.
is a fucking industry set up for men by men,
Right. Yeah.
this is just the way it is. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's
Just
simply how it is.
can't be changed. Immutable.
Yeah.
What are you gonna
Yep.
do? Uh it's yeah, it is really it's incredible to just I keep thinking I'm like, how is this poor woman gonna follow this movie? Although I haven't seen Revenge, which apparently is great as well. But I'm like, how do you follow a movie like
How
this that goes so balls to the wall
Oh, it
with
goes
what it's
so hard.
doing?
Fucking hell, it goes so hard. Right? Yes, it's gory, right?
Hmm.
But it's gory in a very specific kind of particular type of way that I enjoy.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's got the exact kind of gore that I like.
Sure.
Just does all the things that I
Does all,
really
does
enjoy.
all the things. Yeah.
The there's
Does a lot of practical things, which is great.
just even though it's long and even though there's a lot going on, it finds time to be funny as fuck.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Um,
I mean, it is
uh,
a satire, and I think that
yeah, of
that's like
course it is. Of
one of the
course it
things
is.
that's so important to
Mm,
think about with this is like Ben was saying that when he left some like Zoomer was like that was the most con or patronizing movie I've ever seen or something like that. And it's like you're
yeah,
just
mate.
like you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
It's a satire. It's not talking down to you. It's not saying something that you've never heard before. Like, oh, what? It's hard to be a woman over 50. Like, we all fucking know that.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
about how it says it that, that works so well.
Yes, I adore how I use adore very deliberately. I adored it. I adore the fucking film. I adore how the kind of the entertainment industry that it presents is stylized to be superficial to the point of there just being nothing. There is
Yes.
nothing beneath the surface in the industry
Hmm.
that Elizabeth works in. It is fucking inch thick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just asses and fucking crotches and lipstick and fucking
Right.
gyrating and music. That is it. That is the
Yeah.
world she exists to service.
Hmm.
And while railing against the ageism of it, there's also a kind of a pathos at Elizabeth being so fucking hung out to dry by this industry, yet content to do ever more extreme things for that final fucking fleeting chance of staying a part of it,
Right.
staying relevant. Um, it's right. Do me a favor, never ever fucking face to face, never be in the same place as me and use and say that it's Cronenbergian. Don't ever fucking do that. You motherfucker. I'll end
Right.
you. Right?
Hmm.
Fucking hate that, man. It's reached at so often as the
It just
laziest.
means body horror, right?
It
Like,
just
oh, there's
means
body
body
horror. It's
horror.
Cronenbergian.
Exactly. And because it is,
Sure.
but that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? He
Hmm.
made those fucking movies for a very narrow part of his career before he went into his fucking,
Yeah.
you know, crime drama
Yeah,
fucking
right before
era.
he
But
started his
yes,
Vigo era.
had he never left that awesome era in the 80s and become more and more extreme with the society around him watching those films, this is probably the kind of thing he would be making now.
Sure.
Had he never
Hmm.
left the fucking shivers and rabid kind of era.
Yeah.
Because
Something that really inherits
oh,
the
and
mindset behind why that body horror worked.
exactly. And if you're maybe an hour 45 minutes in and thinking, is it gonna go up a gear? It's a bit subtle, isn't it? Um,
Don't
look,
worry.
like I
It's
said,
going to.
it's extreme in a very specific, pleasing way to me,
Mhm.
particularly.
Yeah. Well, and to a lot
Um,
of people, I think like so when you were here, we were going to go see it and
we were,
then it left theaters because it was only planned to be in theaters for like a week. It didn't get super
mm,
wide distribution. And so we were going to have to drive up. We were going to go to Kevin Smith's theater down the shore to go see it. And then we ended up just like chilling and getting high or whatever. But um we couldn't see it because of that. And then they brought it back to theaters because
oh,
people were clamoring for it. It's been in theaters ever since. It's still in theaters. And it's like breaking records for like the smallness of it. It's not like, it beat out still some of the, like, I think it beat out what was the big, the Joker movie.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
like it's small, so it's not doing like $1 billion in box office, but purely on the power of how much people liked it, they brought it
Yeah.
back into the theater and it's been doing numbers. So
Mm,
it's hitting with a lot of people.
yeah. Rightly so.
Hmm.
I don't. I can't convey just how good it is. Like
Yeah, right. You
I
have to
can't
see it.
convey how good a fucking movie this is. Because if it was like Terrifier, right?
Hmm.
Every headline about Terrifier is going to lead with this film is gory as fuck,
Right.
right?
This many
It,
people puked. This many people walked
exactly.
out. Yeah.
Gory film. The substance could lead on that,
Sure. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It could lead on the extremity of the piece, but it doesn't have to because
Yeah,
it's
it'd be burying the lead.
fucking exactly. It's a package of extremity as opposed to, it gets a bit fucking wet. You're in there. No. The entire thing is so solid.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about influences, I mean, in the first third, they're doing like the severance thing where you've got one of them taking control of the life and leaving the other. It explores the internal kind of geometry of her apartment, the
Mm-hmm.
geography of her kind of her living space, and I even got fucking Skinamarink vibes from it when you're kind of pulling back endlessly through fucking,
Mm,
dream state corridors and
sure,
shower
yeah.
rooms and tile and bathroom, and you
I
start
mean,
to,
yeah, to use Gen Z sort of parlance, like it is certainly an experience of liminality when it
yeah,
comes
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
building. And a lot of
yeah.
because everything feels like an in-between space in there, right? Like you never get like a busy city or
Mm,
anything like that. You're always in sort of corridors. You're in her apartment. You're in hallways, long hallways that with, nothing in them, long
exactly.
red hallway with just photos on the wall. Like everything is
Mm,
a transitional in between space in this movie.
yep. Mm. And
Yeah.
when it fucking goes up that gear,
Yeah.
it might lose you,
Sure. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. That it runs that risk for sure.
Yeah. Um. Again, I thought very timely that you mentioned Suspiria, particularly the remake. It will go up a gear,
Hmm.
and it might leave you behind.
Sure.
You might be tempted maybe to laugh. No. If that is natural and it's fine,
Yeah.
but don't
And
make
certainly it is funny too.
yes.
It gets so extreme that you have to kind of laugh, right?
Yep. But
Like,
it's superb at puncturing tension with
mhm.
like really fucking smart sight gags. Um, just the vaguest of spoilers when the wheels start coming off at the end and they both decide that it's time to wrap this up and they decide they want to stop the process. And I think it's Elizabeth who opens the final package and is, oh, we're sorry you've decided to leave us kind of note.
Yeah, right.
Hilarious. It's
Yeah,
satirizing fucking,
exactly.
subscription culture.
Yeah,
It's
she's
great.
essentially got a body swapping subscription package.
Yep, exactly that.
So
Yep.
see the
And
substance. It
oh, please,
is.
you should. You should.
Do you take anything from this podcast? Watch Night of the Hunter, watch Dead Man's Curve, all that kind of stuff, but watch the
How
substance.
often, friends, do I fucking sit here and say, I've just given a movie 5 stars. I
It's
think
true.
it's perfect. You should watch it. I never say
Hmm.
that.
That's a good point. And that we both feel pretty equally
Yeah.
passionately about it. I mean, especially when it comes to like, we know body horror is not my vibe. It transcends that.
Yes, it does. That's
It's
just
great
one
at
thing
that, but
about
it
it.
transcends
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's very tough to imagine it not being movie of the year for me,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah, exactly. I said the same thing to Ben the other day. I was like, movie of the year, I think it'd be very difficult to argue anything else will. And obviously, it's one of those things where like we know the Oscars don't matter or anything like that, but I think it would be a travesty to not recognize the movie, but especially to me more
Yeah.
in
No, I
this
completely agree.
movie. Like
Completely
it's
agree. She's
just
fucking brilliant.
she's incredible and it's such a brave role to take on, to just look that aging out of Hollywood thing in the face and let us see your entire body, every wrinkle,
Exactly.
every mole, all of that kind of stuff as a woman in her 50s and see it, become more and more grotesque over the course of this. Like, and Margaret Qualley also is incredible in this.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah,
both great. But yeah, I think if she's not recognized for this, like, come on, guys,
yeah. Get real.
get real. So, Mark.
Was that it, movie wise? Please watch The
Oh,
Substance, listeners. Please.
the, the one other thing that we watched that it seems silly to even discuss after The Substance was we watched the WNUF Halloween special as well,
Oh, yeah.
which I think you were getting a little more mileage out of than I was. I think it commits to the bit really
I was
well.
really enjoying it. I thought, again, not being from that time, that era, that place,
Yeah,
it felt, well, you said it yourself. The fake commercials, bang on.
spot on. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely spot on. To me, the only problem was thus the plot gets really lost because it is like 70% commercials in it as
it
it's,
really is.
recreating these ads. So it very much feels like watching an actual special from like the 80s and 90s. It's just at a point, it's like I would really like for us to tell this story.
Mm,
It doesn't hit as well for me as like Ghostwatch does.
yes.
Where it's like genuinely a really scary story that they're telling between their little bits in the actual studio and everything. It's like when they get there, you're like, oh shit, this is terrifying. This is
Mm,
never terrifying. It's just a really good like representation of watching a Halloween special in 1988 or whatever. So,
nice.
your mileage will vary. I think WNUF Halloween special is great to like put on in the background at a Halloween party or something like that. Like just as a fun little, have it rolling and you don't have to pay close attention to it because the story does not matter.
No, no, it does not.
Now, for our topic of the week, as I said last week, um, I just wanted to go through some of the many things. We've been getting so many posts on our Facebook lately of bananas stories and things like that that people have come across the internet. And I cannot express enough how much we love when you
Yeah.
post that stuff. It really, I love that this is the place you run to when you saw some weird shit somewhere.
Mm,
And also, for those of you who don't use Facebook and things like that, get on the Discord, and in Xander's amazing interface of this, you can post stuff on there as well. We haven't really been using it for that, but I'm trying to sort of use that stuff more because there's so many cool places to discuss things on there. So always share your weird stuff with us. But I'm going to go through some of those stories, Mark, and tell you about some of the stuff that our
yes, please.
listeners have told us about. Gonna start. This one was related to our Jaws pod from our live show. This was sent to us by Jennifer Will. This was about that every year, dozens of female hammerhead sharks mysteriously convene in French Polynesia under the full moon.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
so apparently every austral summer, Rangiroa and Tikihau atolls in French Polynesia host a mysterious assembly of female great hammerhead sharks, which are critically endangered and typically solitary. And for whatever reason, nobody knows why they're doing this, but for the past few summers, they have recorded 54 female great hammerhead sharks and one whose sex could not be determined at these two atolls, which are 9 miles apart. They noted that more than half of the sharks were seasonal residents, meaning they spent more than 6 days a month there for up to 5 months. And this was published in a journal called Frontiers in Marine Science.
What
So
are they
they've
doing, these sharks?
exactly nobody knows
Huh.
why it is that they're coming here. They're solitary, they're endangered. Why the fuck are they gathering here? But Jennifer did have a theory. They're there to discuss the Brodies.
Yeah.
And
Next
listen, that's
steps.
as good a reason as any, as far as
I'll
I'm
buy that. I
concerned.
can buy that.
Yes. So, Brody family, look out. The Hammerheads are coming for you.
Nice.
This one I found actually, but this was an 81-year-old man in the United States was sentenced to 6 months in jail for creating giant hybrid sheep for hunting. Yeah, this is a bananas one. There's a few things about this that stand out to me. For one, so an 81-year-old Montana man was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison for illegally using tissue and testicles from large sheep hunted in Central Asia
No.
And the US to create hybrid sheep for captive trophy hunting in Texas and Minnesota. This paragraph is my favorite right here. The U.S. District Court Judge Brian Morris said he struggled to come up with a sentence for Arthur Jack Schubarth of Vaughn, Montana. He said he weighed Schubarth's age and lack of criminal record with a sentence that would deter anyone else from trying to, quote, change the genetic makeup of the creatures on the earth.
Listen, sorry, how was he doing this?
Right. So that's the other thing to me is I realized I don't understand how cloning works. Can anyone just take like tissue and like testicles and be like, I have made sheep? Like, how is this? Can I do it with you?
Right.
Could I make another Mark?
Hey, ain't no
Ain't
thing
no
like
thing
me
like
but
me
me.
but me.
um, so CRISPR
I don't know what
is
that is, Mark. I
neither do I,
don't know
neither do I.
what it is.
Neither do I.
Why does
And
it
this is
sound like somewhere you keep your salad?
I've seen a CRISPR kit in a museum and it looked
A CRISPR
baffling.
kit. Can you
Yeah,
buy it?
yeah, this is the thing. You can buy yourself a CRISPR kit which contains all of the equipment and instructions.
To clone stuff.
I don't know about cloning stuff. I know that CRISPR you can use to edit your genome, to like
Okay. Uh-huh.
insert things into your genetics.
Okay.
As far as how you would go about how some dude would go about making like turbo sheep.
Right. Like this was as I read this article, I was like, I feel like we're taking a lot for granted here. How do you do this? Like, I understand how you make like plants breed or whatever and things like that, and you make a new plant or whatever. I don't understand how you is this the same thing that like is it Barbara Streisand who uses to like just clone her dog over and over again? Like, how does this work?
I'd
Eileen?
love yeah, I'd love a little bit more info on this, please.
Yeah.
Just purely, benign. I'm not going to do it, but
I
how
wasn't concerned
seriously,
until you said it.
yeah, but how seriously I take this guy depends a lot on, did he just have like did he sellotape some fucking testicles
Right.
to a dog? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I don't know how serious this is, but I do love the idea that like the he needs to be sentenced to deter people from changing the genetic makeup of the creatures on Earth. Like the
Well,
idea is
yeah,
like we have to stop people because if we just allow this, folks are going to be like fucking up all the animals,
yeah,
Like they know this exists. Like what else are they going to mess with? They just found that hybrid fox dog in South America or
yes,
whatever. Like, what else are
right. So you
people
can't
gonna do?
you can't clone
Okay.
with CRISPR. What you can do is you can permanently modify genes in living cells and organisms.
Like so like in me now, not like in a baby of mine,
Yes,
but like in me,
in
I could
you.
change. Could I like change my
Yes.
eye color?
I don't know about changing your eye color, but you could treat genetic causes of disease
Well, why don't we do that? What's so
because you can't. You can't just fuck with the
okay.
genetics of life. You can't do that because that would then be transmissible, wouldn't it?
Right, yeah.
So if let's say I CRISPR out the Ehlers-Danlos fucking gene in you, right?
Sure. Hmm.
If you would then went on to procreate, your progeny would also have that edited gene.
Which would be good, right? Then they wouldn't have the EDS.
No, it wouldn't be good though, would it? Because
I
you can't
don't know.
because you can't just go around editing genes of animals, can you?
Why not, Mark? Why not? The CRISPR kit seems to think I can.
Because what if there was that guy in China, wasn't it? There was that like rogue dickhead who
Yeah.
thought he could, I'll just cure HIV, no worries.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't just go making unilateral decisions about the genetic makeup of our future species.
But what is that? So like then what does the kit do?
You
So what
you
can I
can,
change?
you can, but you shouldn't.
Okay, so it's a Jurassic Park situation.
Exactly this, exactly this.
Got it.
And in terms of law,
Are
in
you
the
saying
UK at
law or
least,
lore?
yes,
With the
law,
W?
LAW,
Okay.
yes. So I read
Okay,
that in a research setting in the UK, it's lawful to, I'm just going to go ahead and quote from
do it.
Bing, weirdly. It's lawful
That's
to
what I use.
create and use genome edited human embryos, sperm, or eggs in research,
Okay.
but it is illegal to then go on to use them in assisted reproduction.
So like
So
you
I
like
can,
a fertility clinic couldn't use this.
exactly.
So can I buy one of those kits?
Yeah.
And then what am I allowed to do with it?
You can do whatever the fuck you want on yourself, I
On
think.
yourself. But then if I have kids, I've changed
But then if you
the
have
gene
kids, you've
pool.
changed the human genome and are a monster.
And that's how we get the substance.
Exactly, exactly. Listen, I'm
We're
just
gonna have
sending
to
you.
like delve into this, I think. This is not a brief conversation. I think we're gonna need to do a
Yeah, I
CRISPR
agree.
episode.
But there you go. There's a link coming your way on how to purchase your own,
Oh, good.
build your own CRISPR solution. It's just
Oh
coming your
boy.
way. Oh,
It's like 3D printers for your genes. I also don't know how
yeah.
3D printers work, so it all falls in line.
Oh my. You listen. You won't be able to do this.
Wow, okay, challenge accepted.
You won't be able to do this. This looks fucking solid. This looks really difficult.
Would Eileen be
Um,
able to do it?
Eileen's probably done 4 today. Um,
Okay, interesting. We're gonna
but
do,
yeah, you.
guys, we're gonna do a CRISPR episode because I need to know more about how this
All
works.
right. I mean, I'm down with it. I'm super into it.
Apparently though, this poor guy is very sad about what he's done. He said, I will have to work the rest of my life to repair everything I've done. And his attorney said that his life, reputation, and family were ruined, and I think this has broken him. All just
Oh my
from cloning some
God.
sheep.
Yeah, mate.
I don't know if I'd feel that bad about it. Like,
You can, there's
that's,
instructions and kits everywhere. Have a look at that link I just sent you. There you go.
where did you send it?
Zoom,
Oh, in
start
Zoom.
genome editing with CRISPR-Cas9. You can do it.
What is this?
Buy one on Amazon.
We live in the future in like the weirdest fucking ways, you
DIY
know?
bacterial genome engineering CRISPR kit, $130 on Amazon.
$130.
Yep.
It
130
feels like
quid.
it should cost more than that.
Well, it feels like it shouldn't exist.
I'm gonna go edit Walter, see what happens.
Do it. Give him some extra testicles.
Oh no, we already got rid of the
I'm
ones he had.
yeah,
We don't want to have any more. He's already started humping, Mark. I
I know.
don't need him to do that. Let's see what else we got on the list of stories from people. Oh, we got this one from a few people. First from Rob, then from Richard.
Mm,
This story. I'm gonna read you this, and I'm gonna see if you have the same first reaction slash question that I had. So
give it to
headline
me.
is horrifying mistake to take organs from a living person was averted.
Oh, I've seen
Witnesses
this.
say.
I've seen this. This one I have seen.
Let me read this to you. Read the beginning of this
Mm,
article. Natasha Miller says she was getting ready to do her job preserving donated organs for transplantation when the nurses wheeled the donor into the operating room. She quickly realized something wasn't right. Though the donor had been declared dead, he seemed to her very much alive. He was moving around, kind of thrashing, thrashing around on the bed, Miller told NPR in an interview. And then when we went over there, you could see he had tears coming down. He was crying visibly.
mm,
Wait for it. The donor's
mm.
condition alarmed everyone in the operating room at Baptist Health Hospital in Richmond, Kentucky, including the 2 doctors who refused to participate in the organ retrieval, she says. The procuring surgeon, he was like, I'm out of it. I don't want to have anything to do with it, Miller says. It was very chaotic. Everyone was just very upset. Miller says she overheard the case coordinator of the hospital for her employer, Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, call her supervisor for advice. So the coordinator calls the supervisor at the time and was saying that he was telling her that she needed to find another doctor to do it, that we were going to do this case. She needs to find someone else, Miller says. And she's like, there is no one else. She's crying, the coordinator, because she's getting yelled at. Mark,
Mm.
what's your first thought here? Just out of curiosity.
Stop the fucking process now.
He's
You
alive.
you know what I mean? The
What?
guy was declared brain dead. He isn't brain dead. He's
Well, no, no,
moving
no, no,
and
no, no.
crying.
He was not declared brain dead, declared dead, all the way dead, full dead.
Warm and dead. Yeah. Declared warm and dead.
Completely, yeah, right? Like the way you take organs out of people, right? You want to do it as
But
soon after they die as possible. But he
I
was
mean,
declared dead and he's crying.
listen, genuinely, what I'm hearing are parallels to what we spoke about right at the top with execution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
The evidence of your fucking eyes and ears is telling you that you can't
Yeah,
harvest from this guy. He's alive. I just guess somebody else to do it. We're here now. We've
right.
come all this way.
What?
Mm,
That is bonkers. And I was reading this whole article. I'm like, are we gonna address this? Because this seems like yes, it's a horrifying thing to imagine you could be declared dead and someone harvest your organs or whatever. But when I saw the story, I assumed that the person seemed dead. I did not expect to read the story and find that they were like showing obvious signs of
yep.
being alive. It's not like, pouring salt on a frog's legs or something like that. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, they dance. It's like,
Yeah.
no, this is like a living person. So for their part, the organization Coda said that, whoa, this is being misrepresented. She said that they did not try to press anyone to operate on a person who was living.
Yeah.
They claim that that's a lie or whatever. All these people say that that's what happened. That to me, like, why would they lie about that? Like, everyone was in a
Yeah.
panic over this, like crying, calling people, like it was a
Well,
full emergency. Why would you make that up?
it's one of the real core takeaways of this podcast over the past few years is that I don't think there's a single system which is
Mhm.
100% fucking fail-safe.
Sure. Right. Yep.
Even something as fucking nightmarish as that
Mm.
story is. And even in that fucking fringe case where you're about to harvest someone and they're thrashing about the place and crying, and there still isn't a fail-safe.
Right. Yeah. Like that feels like that edge is like very distinctly delineated. And
Yes.
yet, if one of those doctors had just been like, well, my job's on the line, they say I got to do it, and did it, they would have just cut some living person open.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Wild.
Wild. That's a bonkers one
You're not
from
safe. You're
there.
never safe. You are
You're
never
never
safe.
safe in a clearly obvious situation where everything is,
You should be
obvious.
nice and safe and dead.
Ooh-wee. Another one came from Dale. I love this one. This was a Bay Area startup claims it developed two-way communication between people via dreams.
This is my buddy Dale. It's my buddy Dale Evans. I
Yeah,
used to work
love
with Dale.
this.
Really nice guy. Really fucking good lad. Hi, Dale.
Hey, Dale, thank you for this. Um, love this one. You spotted out the gate that there's the like wherever the link came from, whatever was very like woo, all that.
Yeah.
For the record, this has been covered by the news. There is a Bay Area ABC 7 news. You'll see this in the links if you look at the blog or at the bottom of the description for this episode. ABC News did cover this, but I want to emphasize that it says claims it developed communication via dreams.
Yeah.
We don't know this. It's a startup, of course, naturally. The Redwood City startup says it reached the milestone on September 24th with the technology that linked two people in a lucid dream state. It achieved the communication in October. Lucid dreaming, of course, is a state in which you're asleep but also aware you're dreaming. So Michael Raduga is CEO of REM Space and showed pictures of the participants.
Right.
It said, quote, for example, when this participant found himself in a lucid dream, our server sent him a random word so nobody knew what word it would be. And in a lucid dream, he replied. Raduga said while pointing to a board with the participant's picture on it, our server detected his reply and confirmed that it was right. And when the next person found herself in a lucid dream, we sent his answer to her and she repeated it as well. He says this is achieved through a special device that attaches itself to different areas on the head. And in that video on the ABC7 thing, you can see this, which looks as like crackpotty as you imagine it would look. Like it very much, it's like, you know, when in Back to the Future, when Marty comes in and like Doc's
Sure.
got like trying to read his mind with the thing on his head. Like it feels very much like this. He says, when you talk in this language, which he calls Remio, when you talk in this language in your dreams, we can hear you and we can connect two dreamers together. This guy is Russian, by the way. He said he's been working on this specific project for the last few years, bringing the operation to the Bay Area from Russia 5 months ago. So he said people in different countries are participating in this, and he is trying to submit it for peer review. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd
I'm not
love if
swayed by
listen.
pictures here.
I'm not particularly swayed either by pictures of shite.
Right.
But peer review that shit and then we will
Right.
talk.
Yeah. If you get this peer reviewed and they're like, yeah, sure enough, there it is.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Yeah.
It is legit enough that they got on the news. But you know, they'll interview anybody. So we'll see, Dale.
See,
We'll see.
something uh, one of the founding points of the topic that I didn't talk about last week or this week or the week before, but intend to. Right? A fascination I have is the seat of consciousness, right?
Mm,
Where does consciousness actually
sure.
reside?
Right.
Because it isn't as clear cut as oh, it's in your brain. And there are
Right.
life
Yeah.
forms. There are life forms that exhibit consciousness in fucking all manner of parts of their
Fucking
bodies.
mushrooms,
These
dude.
exactly squid, octopus,
Mhm.
decentralized fucking nervous systems.
Right.
Um, so it isn't completely in the realms of wacky horse shit for me to I could believe you could talk me into believing that we could communicate through lucid dreaming. I could buy
Right.
that
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's not beyond like the realm of possibility.
No.
This guy seems like a little bit of a crackpot, but you know, like people are figuring out how to make it so like people who are paralyzed can control things with their brains and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that we'd figure out how to do that.
Mm.
Um, we'll just see if it's this guy who is the one who figures it out.
I'm very keen to see the results of your peer review, sir.
Yeah, we'll keep up with that.
Mm.
Um, Another story. This one came from Richard. I love this one. Disguised GP admits attempted murder poisoning. I'm gonna send you this one, Marco, so
Uh,
that you can see his disguise here. So a doctor who wore a disguise when he injected his mother's partner with poison in a dispute over an inheritance has admitted attempted murder. Are you seeing it? Are you... it could not be more like the only way this could be more obviously disguised is if he was
ah,
wearing like a Groucho Marx
oh, so good.
glasses. Do you want to describe
So
what
good.
he's got going
Well,
here?
to all intents and purposes, he looks as though he's wearing those fucking, Marx Brothers fucking set. He's got a pair of glasses on. He's got just the fakest looking straight mustache and a little kind of goatee beard. The nose doesn't look right. It's the worst looking disguise I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
he's clearly got like kind of brown makeup on his face, and
Yeah.
like a toupee that looks like an upside down bird's nest.
He's obviously kind of darkened his skin,
Yeah.
and has created a fake ID using the name Raj Patel. All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. He could have been a little bit more imaginative there, I
Yeah.
think.
Thomas Kwan, 53, had previously
Look
denied
at
the
him
offense
originally, if you see it's without the disguise.
without the disguise. Yeah, let me read to you from this because I love the way this discovery comes. He had denied the offense against Patrick O'Hara, who was given a toxin which caused a rare and life-threatening flesh-eating disease. Prosecutors said Kwan went to extraordinary lengths to disguise himself. and
Yeah,
prepare
well,
the attack at the victim's Newcastle home on 22nd January. So Quan had let's see. Let me see where it says what happened here. He said Quan's mother, Y King, also known as Jenny Lung, had made a will leaving her home in Newcastle to her partner of 20 years, Mr. O'Hara, with it only passing to her children in the event of his death. Quan, who had been a well-respected GP, was obsessed with money and his inheritance, so hatched an intricate plan to eliminate the impediment posed by Mr. O'Hara. Quan sent his victims letters purporting to be from the NHS saying he was eligible for a home visit from a community nurse for a medical checkup. The GP disguised himself with a mask and glasses and carried out the visit himself, also offering the victim a COVID-19 booster jab. Mr.
I had mine
O'Hara.
yesterday.
Oh, good. Really
Yes,
glad
I
to
did.
hear that. Thank goodness. Mr. O'Hara felt a terrible pain as soon as the injection was given, with the visitor making a swift exit, the court had heard. The victim, love this. The victim became suspicious when Miss Lung said the nurse was the same height as her son and then sought medical help. He is suspiciously exactly the same height as my kid. That's the giveaway on here. Love that. Mr. O'Hara ended up being treated for necrotizing fasciitis at Newcastle's Royal Victoria Infirmary and had to have parts of his arm removed. The guy, on top of his shitty disguise, had a borderline obsession with poisons and how to kill people. And of course, like every dumb idiot who tries to do stuff like this, like they went to his house and he had like his whole search history. It was like, how do you kill people with poison? And what's a poison recipe? And shit like
Indian
that.
names.
So Indian names, right? Just like the most obvious stuff on the planet. Bless him. Thankfully, his poor stepfather recovered, aside from the pieces of his arm removed. So good for him.
I'm delighted.
And the final story that I want to share goes to something that we have discussed, but I'm actually going to need like a brief refresher on here. It has to do with the game of Conkers.
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah.
Remind me again how you play Conkers, because I think that's going to be important to what
All right,
happened
so
here in this story.
you are in school, right? You
Yep.
are 11.
Sure.
It is autumn. Conkers are dropping from trees in their multitudes.
Which are
What? Horse chestnuts
horse chestnuts.
in their little spiky little dome casing, cracked open, get your conker. You may want to temper your conker. You may want to strengthen it somehow. Maybe perhaps you'll soak it in vinegar. Maybe you'll bake it in the oven for an hour. You want to get your conker hard as fuck because you're going to drive a nail into it with a bootlace, and you're going to put that conker on a string. And your opponent who've done the same thing, you're going to take it in turns to hold your conker up like so, while your opponent has a go at just twatting it with their conker as hard as they can. And your conker survives, and it is the winner.
There we go. Sounds do people get hit a lot with the conkers while playing this? Because it feels like a small target. Yeah,
Your
I'm
knuckles
imagining
would
a lot
get
of
wrapped.
raw
Yeah.
knuckles.
And do you know what I think? I'm as certain as I can be that most schools have, banned the
Outlawed
practice at this point.
conkers.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah,
Well,
certainly
they may have
big
outlawed it.
business.
Yeah, they may have outlawed it in school, but there is still a World Conker Championship. And Mark, there has been disrespect upon the name of this very game. The headline:
Skullduggery.
Cheating alleged after men's World Conker champion found with steel chestnut.
Son of a bitch.
The World Conker Championships is investigating cheating allegations after the men's winner was found to have a steel chestnut in his pocket. David Jakins won the annual title in Southwark.
Yeah, very good.
Hey, there we go. Southwark.
Nice.
On Sunday for the first time after competing since 1977. It's a long time to be playing Conkers on the professional stage.
Okay, on the circuit. Yeah. Doing the tournament.
Yeah. But the 82-year-old was found to have a metal replica in his pocket when he was searched by organizers after his victory. The retired engineer has denied using the metal variety in the tournament. Jenkins was responsible for drilling and inserting strings into other competitors' chestnuts as the competition's top judge, known as the King Conker.
Nice, nice.
Alistair Johnson Ferguson, who lost in the men's final against Jenkins, said he suspected foul play, the Telegraph reported. The 23-year-old said, "My Conker disintegrated in one hit, and that just doesn't happen. I'm suspicious of foul play and have expressed my surprise to organizers." Jenkins said, "I was found with the steel conker in my pocket, but I only carry it around with me for humor value, and I did not use it during the event. Yes, I did help prepare the conkers before the tournament, but this isn't cheating or a fix, and I didn't mark the strings." Apparently, in pro conkers, everybody puts their conkers into a sack and you pull one at random.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so you shouldn't be able to reinforce your conker. It is luck of the draw.
Yeah, because kind of home methods for strengthening one's conker are all part of the magic, you see.
Right, yep. Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, and
not to
that
the
seems
extent.
like, yeah, obviously steel is too far, but it does feel like trying to reinforce your conker would make the game more interesting than just like,
Yeah, it does.
did you pick a random horse chestnut
No,
that's stronger than everybody else's?
this idea of kicking off the tournament by everyone grabbing a random conker, that doesn't sit
Yeah,
well
it feels
at
like
all.
defeating the purpose, right? Not
Yeah,
that
it
I mean,
does.
I'm not, I've only learned of this through this podcast, but it just feels like it would be more interesting to see if you could reinforce your conker than to just
I mean, at the
pick a
start of the
random one.
Grand National, you don't all just jump on a random horse. do
Sure.
you?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Very, very good way of putting it. So yeah, just some of the things that have been brought to our attention on our Facebook page over the past few weeks. Wanted to share those because I've gotten a kick out of them. I know other people have gotten a kick out of them, and we
Always.
wanted to bless you with those as well.
Always. But look, underneath all of the fun, yeah, underneath all of the japery with your chums here, Mark and Corrigan, there's a lesson, isn't there?
Oh, is there?
There's a lesson. And sometimes the stories are a little bit more fun, aren't they? Yeah. And
True.
sometimes there's a metal conker and a guy in a silly disguise. But it's still a fucking nasty world, isn't it? Yeah.
That's true. No getting around
Yeah.
that, my dear friend. No
Don't
getting around that.
don't be tempted, even though there's some whimsy now and again punctuating the awful inky fucking forever blackness. Still, still fucking horrible, isn't it? Can't get away from that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way to wrap up this delightful time that we've had here.
There's nothing before it, nothing after it. It's all we got. It's all we got,
Jesus.
friends. It's all we fucking got.
But anyway, if you have some whimsy in your life that you would like to share with us, or some of the dark and terrible, you know where to find us all over the interwebs, and we are here to listen and, perhaps bring these around every now and again just to remind everyone of
Yes.
it's wild out there. You never know what's going to
Yes.
happen next time. Someone might strap a bomb to your neck. Someone might use a steel conker. You don't know. Wild cards left and right.
It's a scale, isn't it? It's a
scale, right?
steel conkers at the one end, blowing up on
Neck
telly
bombs on the other. Yeah.
on the other end. And in between those two extremes, the only thing you can do really is to stay spooky.
You just got to stay spooky.